release that he can't get to.
Yo, what is going on, guys? Today we are playing some more NHL 18 here in the background, and as you guys know, we do ratings predictions every single year, and we're going to compare those ratings predictions to what EA's actual predictions are. Just going to do some reacting to some of the overalls that EA gave players this year that I think are kind of crazy, maybe a little too high, maybe a little bit too low for my likings. It's in no particular order. Actually, it is in a particular order. I lied. We're going in alphabetical order because I was going by the teams in alphabetical order. But we're just going to go ahead here and we're going to start with my friends over in Anaheim. John Gibson, an 85 overall. It's hard to believe he's this low of an overall when Ryan Miller's backup's even an 83. How do you compare Ryan Miller to John Gibson by 2 overall points in this stage of Ryan Miller's career? I don't know. But I know there's guys like Robin Lehner with an 85 overall. I don't think I'd have Lehner over John Gibson, let me tell you what. And then you go over here and you go check out them Florida Panthers, and right now Luongo has an 86 overall. He's 38 years old. I know he was a fantastic goalie in his career, but again, I don't think he was better than John Gibson last season. My buddy John Gibson over here had a 924 save percentage, 2.22 goals against average in just 52 games played. I think that's where he gets killed, is he didn't play enough games. And EA just instantly assumes you suck if you split any sort of workload with another goalie, but Gibson was a guy with high expectations coming into the league. Maybe he hasn't lived up to them in some people's eyes, but regardless, he's got a career 922 save percentage. He's done everything asked out of him, 2.22 goals against average in that career span, and I don't think you can discredit him for that. You got to give him a higher overall than 85, maybe an 87. 87 would seem fair. Let's see what they're thinking. Speaking of 87s, though, this is where things get ugly real quickly, EA. We're going to have a little bit of a talk. I ain't a big fan of them dirty players unless they're on my team, but I'll give credit where it's due. There's Brad Marchand right there. I had this man number 3 in my predictions. Now, EA did rate him as the number 4 winger, but we wasn't a big jumble of guys rated 87 overall, like Johnny Gaudreau and Max Pacioretty. And EA pretty much just said Jamie Benn and Ovechkin are in a completely different league compared to any other left winger, as the overall jump from 87 to 90 overall from 3rd to 2nd best on the EA top 10 left wingers list, which is absolutely ridiculous when you consider Marchand had more goals and more points than any other winger on this list last season and has become a premier goal scorer in the past 2 seasons. But you do know who did have a few less goals than Brad Marchand last season and has a ridiculously low overall as well, is Jeff Skinner. I had this guy in my top 10. EA doesn't even have him anywhere close. Skinner had a bounce back like season and arguably a career year last season, scoring 37 goals. The most he's ever scored in one season, and he was rewarded with a dreadful 84 overall for it. I think he could have got at least an 86 out of this. Come on, Jeff Skinner had a great season. I know Carolina didn't, but give him a little bit of respect. Alright, this next one on the list you guys are going to like. I know a lot of you guys are going to like it. I hear about it all the time in those prediction videos, and that is Jonathan Toews, an 89 overall. I am completely double-crossing myself on this one. I had this guy up there with Malkin. I had him up there, I think 3rd or 4th on my centers list, but you guys got me going rogue on Jonathan Toews over here. I got to looking in depth at them stats last season by Jonathan Toews, and it was indeed a pretty down season for him. His face-off percentage was the lowest it's been since the 2nd year he entered the league. His takeaways were the lowest they've been since his rookie year. Corsi and Fenwick percentages, you know, those 2 stats no one will ever understand completely, were both below his career average, and he had a career high last season in giveaways. We talk about all these defensive stats because we are all well aware that the reason he is rated this high is because he is known as a very good defensive forward. And Bruins fans bring up a very good point right here. If Toews is this high every year, why isn't Bergeron right there next to him? They are near mirror images of each other when you look at them stats offensively, but defensively, one of these guys has 4 Selkies in the last 6 seasons, and the other one only has 1 Selkie in his entire career, which leads you to believe Toews has to be the one with all the hardware, am I right? He's always been higher than Bergeron in stats every single season, but he's not. Bergeron is undoubtedly the best defensive forward in the league right now. 4 Selkies in the last 6 years, how can you argue against it? It's completely unarguable, and like I said, they're mirror images of each other. Finally, Bergeron, when it comes to offense, finally Bergeron did get the same overall rating this year as Toews at an 89, and I'm fine with Bergeron being an 89, but if Bergeron's going to be an 89, Toews has to go down a couple overall points, or Bergeron has to go up a couple because, like I said, this guy's undoubtedly the best defensive forward in the league right now. The selfies don't lie, man. We already showed you guys one person that's an 84 overall and thought he should go up. Well, I got another guy that's an 84 overall, and if you're comparing him to that person, he should go down. I think he should go down in general, and that is Jonathan Drouin. Let me name some guys off that are 84 overalls for you real quick. Matt Zuccarello, Mika Zibanejad, Cam Atkinson, and last but not least, Mark Stone, a very, very good defensive player and also a very solid offensive player. Kind of hard to believe he's down to an 84 overall. But back to Jonathan Drouin. I'm going to be very, very careful here how I say this, not to upset them Habs fans and Drouin fans, but this is a perfect example of a guy with a lot of hype around him and a big name, so EA just instantly thinks, oh, the player deserves to be this sort of overall because he's got this kind of name to him. Kind of like the whole Toews and Taylor Hall thing. Drouin has done nothing in his career yet besides cry and complain. He has 95 points in 164 career games. That don't give you leverage to cry and complain, so it's not an excuse to why he hasn't lived up to all of that hype yet. I hope he turns his career around in Montreal. I'd like to see it happen and starts living up to all that hype and potential he has, but right now, there is no way you can tell me he deserves an 84 overall when you compare him to some of the other guys that we've listed that are already 84s overalls, or those guys that deserve to be 86, 87 overalls. It's one or the other, but I don't think Drouin deserves no 84. I don't see how he gets an upgrade from one year to the next playing like he did. I don't know. Like I said, I want to see the best out of Drouin, but right now, I don't think he deserves it. If 84s are the new 87s, I don't know. I don't think he deserves it. It's just my opinion. I think he can live up to it, though. Let's see what happens when he comes over here in Montreal. Maybe a new place he plays better. We'll only be able to find out when this season starts. And then finally, speaking of guys I find very overrated, we have Jakub Voracek, former Blue Jacketer right there. So I do have a little bit of a soft spot for him, but we can't look past the facts at this point. This man has had one very good season his entire career, and EA has been living off of that for his overall ever since. He's a 60 point per game player each season, and that's it. He's looked at as a playmaker, so I'm assuming his defensive abilities aren't massively fantastic, and they really aren't in the game, and it shows. You just throw in now one season where he had a blowout year where he dropped 80 points. What was that, 3 years ago now? So I don't see how he stays at an 87 overall. I mean, you can even throw Taylor Hall into that boat with Voracek. I mean, he didn't have one fantastic season, but he's had all this hype around him as a goal scorer his entire career, and I know I rip on Taylor Hall a lot. Maybe I rip on a lot of the same guys a lot, but it's just because EA overhypes him, and you have to mention it, I guess. But the guy's looked at as a sniper by the game, and he hasn't ever scored 30 goals in his career. That does not qualify as a sniper when half the league, okay, not half the league, but I'm sure there's a good, what, 25, 30 players, probably more, that score 30 goals a year, and you're considering this guy a sniper that didn't do it? Come on now. But when you compare them guys to guys like Blake Wheeler, who's been a very good, quietly very good player, who's only an 87 overall. We already mentioned Brad Marchand, how he can be considered in the same boat as Jakub Voracek. Again, I don't know. Again, Buffalo, Jack Eichel, we're considering right now, according to EA Playmaker, Voracek, Playmaker, Eichel, I guess they're the same person. Just as good of a player as Voracek, apparently. Again, I don't know. And then finally, I'll even throw in Panarin. He's an 86 overall, lower than Voracek, and I'd still rather have Panarin right now than Voracek. Of course, time will tell. Everybody says, well, Patrick Kane played with him. We'll see what happens this season. It'll be interesting to see without Patrick Kane over there. I think Patrick Kane's going to regress. Panarin's going to stay solid, but that's because I'm a biased Blue Jackets fan, though. Don't take that to heart. But these are the guys that I've seen that had some crazy overalls compared to what I predicted and to what they really should have been. Voracek being one of them big guys. Like I said, I don't think he should have been an 87 when you compare the other guys that are 87s. Otherwise, though, guys, let me know of some crazy overalls you guys see now. You're thinking, why is this guy an 80-some overall? Why is this guy only 75? Of course, there's going to be guys that are low overalls like Nolan Patrick Keister. I'm just going to throw it out there real quick because they're not quite updated, rostered into the game because they're not on the Devils, they're not on the Flyers. So when that happens, they'll probably have a little bit more respectable of an overall. But otherwise, though, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.